everybody. So we have got a nice mixed bag panel today, comprising of architects, interior designers, MEP consultants, and last but not the least, lighting designers in the panel. So it's nice to have a good conversation on lighting. Today's topic is to discuss on how lighting impacts the productivity at offices and retail at retail spaces where the consumer experience is looked at. Earlier days, lighting used to be a basic understanding of lighting was to illuminate a space, and that was primarily the modus operandi where the project used to, the lighting aspect in a project used to come at the last moment, and it used to suffice the basic functionality of the requirement. We would like to touch upon the aspect of lighting today in our discussions, how it has evolved through time. Today we have with LED coming into existence and optimization of lighting happening, there are many new words have joined the vocabulary where you have got a lot of different type of lighting, where you have got focus lighting, task lighting, different typology has come into existence. So we would like to take a feedback from different people today in the panel to understand that what is their lookout with respect to the lighting design. I would start the conversation with Tejas being the lighting designer in the panel. The first, I would like to ask Tejas primarily, the first thing that I'd like to get from him is that what has triggered him to get into the lighting design segment, he being a lighting designer, and what was one of his memorable incidents while he was doing lighting design for any of his project. So Tejas, you can elaborate on this, on your journey through this.
Sure. Thank you, Dada. So, good evening, everyone. So, my lighting started, I would say, when I popped out of my mother's womb. I was DOA, dead on arrival. They cut my umbilical cord, took me to a darker corner, hit me twice, thrice. I cried, came back to my mom. I can stop crying. This happened 2-3 times, and then my mom realized that, yaar, kya weirdo ko paida kar diya kya? Then there was a Eveready moment that when I come under the light, I stop crying. You know, so that's how my name Tejas was kept, which means bright light. Yeah, but that was not the end. That was the beginning. And my surname is Doshi, which means guilty. Yeah. So when my father was alive, I used to tell him, why Doshi? Why not Joshi? Doshi mein to dosh hai, Joshi mein josh hai, yaar. Come on. So he was very intelligent. He introduced me to Dilip Doshi as a cricketer. So I played cricket, went up to a certain level, broke my rib. My mother said, sit at home. Okay. Then obviously my father's business was, one of the business was electricals. So there was this niche Ave karke brand tha from Italy. So I used to distribute that, Being a Gujarati, we introduced to business in very young age. So one of the project where the interior designer wanted dimmers, rotary dimmers. And those time we had those halogens. So I went there for the mock-up and I was playing around with it. Fortunately or unfortunately, that designer didn't turn up. So the client, I asked the permission whether can I play around with it, because it was rows and columns, So I was playing around with it, and I loved the way I manually created a scene. Now to digitally everybody is doing it. So he then said, why don't you study light? That was another Eveready moment, which I started off, and I studied lighting, went to US, did my course there, came back, struggled. Again, I used to blame my dad. क्या यार दोषी में ही ये issue है, because 20 years ago no one knew what lighting designer is all about, right? So then my dad introduced me to BV Doshi and said, why don't you become like him? You know, he's a great legend. I said, do you know him? He said, yeah, I know him. So you become like him. And that's how my journey started off. And I took it up as a challenge and started expanding my business. As far as the studios are concerned, I have various studios in Kolkata, Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Lisbon, Vienna, Kiev, and my memorable project are one of my project, I would say all the projects are memorable actually. So one of my project I would say which I had designed in LA, a bungalow, a huge house which was bought by Hollywood celebrity. That's one. And second I would say is the Taj Grass Kutir, which is in Gangtok, which I recently designed. So that's two memorable projects.
Wonderful, wonderful. So my next question, and now we'll go, this was a little bit of a background that we have created now in our conversation. Now let's get to the topic of discussion. How light helps in the productivity of the employees, the well-being side of it, and how every aspect of light contributes to the designing of that space, and what are the basic parameters that needs to be looked into, how even natural light works to the betterment of the spaces. So I will first request Subhro to talk about it, because there needs to be a little bit on the functionality side, while Tejas has elaborated it on the philosophical and the aesthetic side of it. Let Subhro bring us all down to the functional side of it.
Okay, thanks Manas. First of all, I'm the wrong person in this entire forum, because normally as an MEP consultant, our job starts when the designs are done by the architect or maybe by the lighting designer. We are asked just to get the connection done. So we hardly get any opportunity to put our thought process in that lighting design. But yes, after a certain experience, some of the architects starts listening that what's your thought process, because with the age of we have done the projects we have done and the experience, I always say that usage of the natural light is the best thing to do, means instead of using any kind of artificial light. And but again, there are still constraints as a MEP consultant, because the aesthetical part of the entire design will ultimately go on to people like you. You will be deciding, and no hard feelings on that, but we know that's the destiny. See, normally it's very obvious, and there is nothing new, that the lesser the light, it actually impacts the human, not only the health, but also the mental health too. So today we talk about, we should have a kind of light which should mimic the daylight pattern. So normally, what has been seen, I think people like Tejas and the Mohit will be able to, guide us more on that. That lighter blue and the white are the best colors for the office areas to work upon. With the color temperature should be varying between somewhere around 4,000 to 7,000 Kelvin, something like that. See, so going down to the health impacts, you should be. It's not only the light, because it's an amalgamation of two things which actually brings the positive impact on the employee, and the efficiency also increases. One is definitely the light. The other is the IAQ, the indoor air quality, the amount of fresh air, the kind of filtration we do. So the amalgamation of these two things actually impacts the human health and the employees, and also improves their productivity in a larger way. And there are it has been seen that even without a proper lighting, The study says that I was talking to one of the medical fraternity, a friend of mine, that even with a lack of lesser lighting, it not only impacts the mental health, but also there's a possibility of the tuberculosis to even come into a body, so, which is again an amalgamation of both the air as well as the lighting. So there are different factors. Yeah, please go ahead. Statements. I think elaboration on this can be done by people from Eveready or directly by Tejas, who comes with that kind of experience. But as an MEP consultant, this is what my thought process is.
So I'll go to Ranit now. Ranit has been working on a lot of boutique architectural interior projects, unique boutique architectural interior projects where there's a lot of play. I have been following his projects. So there's a lot of play of light, interesting play of light in those projects. So I thought that I'll put forward this question to Ranit. What are his thoughts when he's designing? You are designing a space. What is your thought on lighting with respect to the user experience or the customer experience? You have been doing a lot of sales gallery where your client would be asking for a particular way of highlighting the spaces, or how do you deal with it?
Hi, good evening everyone. Frankly speaking, I think lighting is one of the most difficult element while designing something, and to control that is another thing. And the problem is we actually don't have much data about how much light and what is their resultant effect that we are getting from the designing of the light or something like that. So but one thing I'm sure we all know that whether we have realized it or not, lighting plays an extremely important and big role in user or customer experience of any particular area. It can influence one to take a decision, to perceive a space, even they can actually influence to guide someone so that he can spend a particular time in that particular area or not. If you all are feeling boring or not interested or feeling sleepy with our conversation, then probably we are not the only one who is actually the reason behind that. Probably the light has something to do with that also. So while we designing some space, a retail space or probably an experience center, an office or something like that, and keeping in mind that light is going to play an important role, what we try to do is we try to keep in mind that 4 aspects of the quality of the light, right? Again, I'm absolutely have no idea that no way we can do something great without a natural light. Natural light is something is absolutely important and
irreplaceable.
You can't do anything without the natural light. But when you are considering artificial light, then probably 4 aspects which we consider very important as a practice. One is I am say the atmospheric environmental quality of the light. So it can create a different scenario for different area, like warmly lit, bright colored space can make a retail space can make one customer feel more inviting, relaxed, and he can spend more time browsing a product. At the same time, probably brightly lit, cool lit, in color temperature gymnasium can make him feel more energetic. So that is part 1. Part 2 is the quality of accentuate a particular thing with a strategic positioning of and designing of light, you can actually focus a particular element, a particular space. This is especially important when you try to create focus to a probably high-end product or something like that. That is aspect
Basically
number 2.
pickup lighting.
Exactly so. The aspect number 3, which is the perception of a product, like the type of light actually creates a huge impact on a perception of a particular product. Like we all know that in every jewelry store, how you put a spotlight on jewelry so that to make the gemstone more sparkle or something like that. Probably in a retail store, in a clothing store, where you mimic the daylight so that you can actually understand the color of the dress, or probably the color index of that particular thing should be more high. Another point which is little subjective but we try to follow is with lighting, probably we can build trust, right? Again, I don't have any substantial data to prove that, but what we believed and what we have practiced is with a properly designed light, you can create a sense of openness and transparency, and with that openness and transparency, you can actually build trust to a particular space and a product. Conversely, with a poorly lit space can create a little like fear or something bad or poor about a product or a space. So I think these 4 little, again, it's not a rational numeric points, but while we design, we'll try to follow these 4 aspects so that with light we can create something substantial and we can actually influence the user or probably the customer.
So it's all about feel good factor. Right.
It's like
and
that.
like you said, lighting defines the space. The lighting well lit. We can retail, for example.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you want that retail is luxurious or it's for mass market, you can define through light.
Absolutely.
You need to introduce darkness properly to enhance something.
Absolutely.
So that is also a very plays a very big role because I feel that embracing darkness is important.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
I just remember somebody telling me there was a lighting consultant where we were discussing one of our projects, and the client was expressing his desire, saying that see, how have you designed this light? It's casting shadow. So this guy came up and said that, I'm sorry sir, I have actually not designed the light, I have designed the shadow. Light is just a byproduct of that. So when you talked about darkness, so that came into my mind. So it's beautiful. The theory is very nice. Taking a cue from Ranit, where he was expressing, so like I initially started my conversation, there are these many typology of technical vocabulary which has evolved, where we have got task light, focus light, some medium optic, large optic. So do you think these kinds of different typology of light, they used to exist a few decades back, and now it is why is this change which is happening? What is the reason? What do you think, Tejas?
So yes, there were beam angles available, there were optics available, yeah, but now the differences is become smaller. Yeah, in those days there were halogens.
Is it because of the LED introduction
Yes,
into the market?
it's because of the LED
and
introduction.
optimization of lights, is it?
Yes, absolutely.
And not only this, different uses. Like if a particular jewelry shop, you want to pick a diamond ring of say 10 carat, so maybe a 1 degree angle is required. I'm just saying and maybe to another shop where you're showing a dummy with a suit wearing, they need a 6 degree, 8 degree. So different uses need different angle. And just to make a ease of the thing, we define it. It is actually defined by company, not by designer. Something architectural light, something medium bay light, something low bay. So this is designed by the company.
Okay.
So they the one angle is right. You want optics and angle. The least bother how you call it.
Okay, wonderful. So I'll come to you with I wanted to talk about, I want you to talk about the latest trends in office and retail design. But before that, I want to understand from Sandip about what is this evolution of the lighting pattern and lighting design over the ages, because this topic that I was raising, I was trying to get there, how lighting has evolved, and with respect to costing, with respect to the whole with respect to the design and the cost impacts, both, how light has evolved throughout.
Okay, good evening. Now, since you've told me how the evolution has happened over a long period of time, I guess no prizes for guessing that I'm really aged. So now the thing is, there are 2-3 aspects in this. See, broadly, what we know as lighting, there are 2 aspects. There is a lamp and there is a fitting. So lamps, generally, we classify them into 4 broad forms like standard, halogen, CFL and LED. That's been the evolution. And obviously, the standard thing that we have learned, which consultants like Subhro do all the time, or even Tejas for that matter, is, in a normal, I'll speak about office spaces because that's my forte. And, generally what we have known right from the start is, a 300 to 500 lux is what you need on the table. That's a standard. And these particular lamps have different guiding patterns in which we achieve that. So that is something that these gentlemen do. I bumped into a very interesting finding yesterday. That is, what I was doing is, honestly, I was thinking that there are so many eminent people on the panel. What do I bring to the table? Because in any case, these guys know more than me. So what do I bring to the table? So here's the thing that I'm bringing to my table. I actually scouted a few BOQs some 15, 17 years back. And it was a learning for me. The average light fitting costs was approximately 6 to 7% of the entire project cost. Some 17 years back. And in those times, as those who are in practice like Subhro and me are age mates, so he would know, the options we had were direct light 2x2 and a few downlighters, nothing more. All the companies used to make that. So what we used to do is basically, and it was those days when we did not have this open ceiling concept. So basically the 2x2s used to come in the false ceiling in the center with the downlighters coming in the passageway. And we used to have some highlight walls wherein, some Chinese lights used to come into play, where we used to put in this, warm lights. That was the only way to make the space interesting because we didn't have options. And all the big companies, I mean the foremost companies who make light fittings, none of them were into actually stylish lighting design. Like they weren't designed, they were just surviving on the basic module, all of them. So this thing now, we are very, kind of grateful that, we have options even from them. As to smart lighting, options are coming from them, which I think is a pretty much new thing. I wouldn't even put it at as much as 10 years, maybe 5-7 years. I'm seeing the change where R&D is happening on, styling of lighting design. So now my finding was, with that basic lighting, in those days, the cost used to be 6 to 7% of the entire project cost. And in today's times, the cost has come down to 2.5 to 3%. So, does that mean that the lighting industry has shrunk? Not at all. It has grown 350%, which is the whole market has grown 3.5 times. Okay? It hasn't shrunk. Now the next question is, where has the another 2.5% gone? Very important question. And what I found out is, it has gone into security system. Security system 15, 17 years back was a very nominal spending, a spending which did not have that kind of impact or preference. In those days, a fire alarm, we used to have a simple conventional fire alarm system. Today, addressable fire alarm system is a norm. You can't function without it. So we are actually, directly, indirectly very helpful to the lighting industry for having given us, saving us on that part by giving us a better product for lesser price and helping us to invest in more safer working zones. So actually this is a finding which happened very recently. Those who are experienced, please do this homework. You wouldn't get it in any book. The only way to learn is, by traveling back to those times, the projects that you did that many years back. So that was a very interesting find. And one thing that I always tell all my clients, a project is like a human body. There are some visually tangible products. There are some visually non-tangible products. Visually non-tangible products are the things that is below the floor, at the back side of your partition, above the ceiling. They are the organs of the body. So a light is a tangible, visually tangible product. So that's the body. It's like the ear, the nose, the eyes that you get to see. Please do not neglect the organs, because at the end of the day, it's going to show to the body at some point in time.
Wonderful, wonderful. A good insight, of course, and how lighting has changed with time. It's really interesting to look back and do this exercise, I'm sure. Now I'll go to Mohit. Mohit, you will need to talk about the latest trends with respect to what Eveready is doing, and with respect to offices, retail, consumer experience, how things have evolved and what is your next plan of action?
See, in a journey of lighting, which I think the friends had shared, lighting is now no more illumination. It become fashion, aesthetic. It become passion, personal choice. It become green to nation, energy saving. It becomes software, sensors. It become AI, the smart lighting. So means now lighting has captured more or less all the segment of rising economy, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's a software, or you can decorative. So the new name of lighting has changed like anything. Same way we have seen the expenditure of lighting also has changed, right? Like what Mr. Royz talking about old time. I remember our Philips days when you to do it 1/4 luminaire in office. It can be a dark luminaire where you want indirect light or a normal luminaire. It's only lures who change the difference. Today the beam angle is there. So today the different lenses are there. So product designer and lighting designer are complement of each other, huh? Because so what a lighting designer want, if a product designer also making a product like that, and we are gonna to a perfect lighting solution. This is the biggest change happened today. Like in retail shop, earlier it was a normal retail lightings were going, now it's going with the magnetic tracks. They change it to with remote control. Now they are coming with the smart control. So, and that upon needs to needs. With these track lights, what type of angle is required, where to be pushed, like, and how smartly we are using the darkness, which is most important. See, you're right. We have to define darkness so that balanced part is light. I read a very famous quote with someone, not famous. He said, lures in the life is required and how the light enters. And a beautiful part. Huh? So this is basics to define lighting design also. Eveready per se, not only we are taking care of safety and security, being a company in electronic for years and known for their quality. Our first motto, we'll keep 100% our focus for a safety parameter. I don't want to say the competitions, but yes, they mostly forget, because you will understand about the product and the project after 2 years, 3 years. By that time, people also forget, project also forget, but it may harm people. This is a safety part. The second part is how it gonna help and going to harm your personal health. Like we talk about ambient lighting or the lighting which can increase our efficiency. We talk about color temperature. India is still very happy to use 7000 Kelvin, or God knows if you give them 11,000 Kelvin, they are very happy. I remember an instance in Philips, there's a 3000 Kelvin tube light called True Light, high lumen. मैं घर ले गया किसी ने लगाई नहीं, I have to throw back, then I have to gain again the white light. So need not to talk to somewhere else, my own house, जिसने lighting के अलावा कुछ देखा ही नहीं. So either people are very happy with this misconception कि this is a bright light because 8,000 lumen or 7,000 lumen, and many companies also making fool where designers are not involved. Whereas if you go out of India, 4,000 Kelvin is the ambient color, which increase your efficiency, which increase your working pattern, other than 3,000 Kelvin, which is need based, like a jewelry showroom and other showrooms. So we are taking care when you design lighting what type of Kelvin is required to a project. So we gave, I would say, we try to win the trust of the client instead of winning the order. That's it.
Great. So I'm not sure about the lighting temperature. With my little bit of study, I guess there is some kind of a Kardashian cycle, or
that is human centric, you're saying, huh?
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. You spoke something about the safety factors of the lighting. Can you please elaborate on that? Because that will be really helpful for us.
When we design driver, most important, because I'm not talking about the DOB fitting, which is a fashion nowadays, we make sure what type of heat they can tap, what type of temperature they can sustain. Maybe a guiding parameter to a project like we are doing Tata Steel, right? Most of the big companies fail. Our product sustains 60-degree temperature for 3 or 4 hours. So we design the product, then to make this product, we ensure first driver should work. Otherwise, if driver fail, product fail, wiring fail, and your project also can be in harm. It add cost also. So we make product not only on the basis of the project, but make sure if somebody is using in adverse conditions, it will not harm. The second part, like when we use products, especially which is going to not perfectly outdoor, because we define outdoor is IP65, indoor is IP50. Many areas where it is like a mix of use are there. You're using a product which is not directly exposure of say wind and rain, but chances are very much. So we ensure we get IP65 where with a silicone sealing product is sealed.
So you mean to say that your competition, because you spoke about that our competition are not following these standards. So you mean to say that your nearest competitors are not following these standards?
They have everything, but when they have to come to cost, they compromise. But
now, I would like to just add on one point which actually impacts my entire MEP design, which is literal evolution for us at least. That the LPD while we design our systems, the entire building was at some point for an office was 1 watt per square feet. Now we are designing with a better design, with a better lighting, it's something around 0.6. But what is impacting us is the heat dissipation from these lights where you just spoke right now. That is impacting the entire air conditioning requirement, and it's a cascading effect that my transformer sizing, my DG sizing, my cable sizing, everything is coming down. So which is in fact is a sustainable design practice is helping.
I will give example, like very bad example. It is for consumer lighting. A batten which was coming, normal batten which was coming of 128 gram plastic of a virgin plastic. Today it is available in a 60 gram mixed plastic. Sala pura aapka atom bomb tayar hai ghar mein. And people are selling, what's the cost of a batten is coming 100 rupees. Jo pehle tube light ka cost tha. But competition is selling, they are giving, we are not giving. Though we are not big player, because we are not gonna affect much in volume, but still we are keeping in a mind it can affect the overall safety of the house. So this is because of cost cutting. I would say people talk at value engineering, but value engineering is बहुत खूबसूरत शब्द दे दिया. They want to cut the cost by anyhow. Just imagine 60 gram of plastic for a batten, which was 128. मैं अभी aluminium की तो बात नहीं करता. That is so gone. I think hardly any people are using.
No, of course, and that's our responsibility, Subhro, as architects, as consultants. We will need to make sure that the kind of products that we are recommending or endorsing. So those kind of products we should endorse, which has got all the safety parameters done up.
Correct. True.
And I'm sure you want to say something.
Yeah. I want to ask a question to Mohitji from a manufacturer's perspective. The general, the Kelvin levels that is practiced in worldwide is between 3,000 to 10,000. But the most popular ones, particularly in tropical countries like India, is between 3 to 6,000. That's out of which, as you rightly said, 4,000 is the most popular that is being used, particularly in office spaces, because of it's the nearest that you can get to daylighting. Now, my question is, and this is not a question to Eveready, this is a question to all the companies. Why is, if 4,000 is so much in use, then why does no company, and when I mean by no company means no company, maintain any inventory? Whenever there is an order, there is a lead time of 1.5 months. Why? If something is so popular, if something is surely to be sold, then why is there no inventory? Because this seriously impacts the timeline of a project.
I agree 100%.
Very good point.
Yeah, it is not.
showing
It is. What you're saying is 4,000 Kelvin is recommended, but it is not used. People want. That's not saying people want 6,000. They want more bright light because somewhere not right direction to that project. कि what type of light is recommended unless or until written by a architect by 4,000 Kelvin ही चाहिए. And I found.
नहीं मोहित जी, आज के दिन में कम से कम मैं आपको इतना यकीन दिलाता हूँ कि कोई भी सेंसिबल डिजाइनर आज के दिन में 4,000 लेकिन कोई भी वर्क स्पेस के लिए लेकिन वो रेकमेंड करता है.
उसका तो 100% है, लेकिन अगर नहीं 100% करता है, लेकिन अगर आपने उसको कहा 4,000 नहीं है सर स्टॉक में, आप 6 ले लो, मान जाता है प्रोजेक्ट. दैट इज रॉन्ग.
यही माय क्वेश्चन इज कि रहता क्यों नहीं है? व्हाई इज इट दैट 3,000 and 6,000 is always available, 4,000 has to be ordered? Why?
See, if you talk about lighting industry, 7-8 years back, if a 10,000 crore was industry, out of it 7,500 was retail consumer, and consumer want 90% 6,000. And when company purchase LED, they purchase in bulk. But every year the B2B business is increasing. Today I would say it's almost 50-50. If you talk about other countries, Singapore, 70% is a B2B business, right? Because flats, more or less lighting is ready. So when a company is purchasing a lighting, suppose they want a LED of 10,000 number, out of us 8,500 he need only as a 6,000 Kelvin. So somewhere I would say that is wrong. Somewhere in purchasing pattern they will not keep in our mind कि भाई जो 1,500 piece वाला है वो भी बहुत important है. That is fault of companies only. There is no doubt. I don't want to hide. 100% fault of companies.
Anyways, as far as we are concerned as consultants, we are absolute thankful to you guys. You please maintain your standards, safety standards, so that some star architects, they are all, earlier days I have never heard any star architect or a product designer designing lights like this. But nowadays we have got David Groupie, Philip Stark, they are all coming up with lights. It's because you guys are maintaining the other part of it. So these guys are able to maintain the design. We are very happy. Please carry on. So, yeah. Coming back to the discussions, I think we are almost done. We'll come to the last couple of points. Yeah, I wanted to ask this one to Tejas. This advancement in smart lighting, what do you think? Does it have, what kind of impact it had on the workspaces and the retail environments? And what will it do in the next decade?
First is, now it's not it's luxury right now, kind of. Now in future it's going to become a necessity. That's one. It's becoming affordable. Okay. When we talk about technology, be it smart lighting or IoT for that matter, there are fixtures available. I'm designing few products where the beam angle digitally is changing from 5 degree to 55 degree, one single fixture. So again, usability, maintaining stock is going to be easier for the manufacturers in future as far as architectural lighting is concerned. So that's what is happening. 10 years down the line, I feel that everything is going to be controlled by AI. Everything has been tracked. Our preferences is going to be more user preference. Whatever we are using at home, maybe 3000 Kelvin or whatever we are doing, it's going to be tagged along with us everywhere we go. It could be, I see that maybe you are dining with your girlfriend or wife, and suddenly you'll see the lighting on your table becomes the temperature what you preferred. You know, you never know. That's what we see in future, right?
These are all good things. Yeah, these are all good things.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things which I have a personal question. Okay.
Yeah.
Lighting which has evolved with the smart lighting concept which has come up. It's wonderful. I have also done it at my place. But the thing is, when there is a fault in the whole system of lighting because of automation, the fault becomes a full-on or a absolute on.
Yes.
So how do you get on with this? So if there is a situation that there is a fault in the system, then everything in the system will be on.
No, sir.
So how do you go about
So
it?
there are systems, currently also, that there are bypass also. It's up to a designer, be it lighting designer or MEP designer, how to bypass it. It's very much possible. Okay. Things are becoming wireless and they are now attached to a single fixture, not series of fixture together. So individual fixture are being controlled through Bluetooth right now. So even if one fails, the other is still working.
No, I'm talking about the hardware side.
I'm talking
So
about the hardware only.
even on the hardware side, if there is a failure on the hardware side, the hardware responds like in a fire situation. The entire system is disarmed, right?
Yes.
In case of fire. What happens in automation in lighting or smart lighting is that in case of some discrepancy somewhere, something happens, the entire thing is switched on. And you have got nothing to do. You cannot switch it off also. Where do you have to go to the power DB to switch it off. So there's some amount of gap which is there in the system right now in case of failure. So
at least in my projects, I haven't seen those kind of thing. Even in case of failure, I have seen fire happening in my because of some issue with the neutral or something. But there has been an override system always.
okay.
So you don't have to be, because I understand a consumer can change a light bulb. You require electrician to go and service it.
Correct.
I understand that point.
Uh.
So whenever we design smart home, like that's our core thing, we make sure that it's override in such a way that individual rooms can be controlled with normal switches also.
Okay.
So that's how we design it. So bypass is always required. Yeah, it's normal. Yeah, in
this kind of projects, it is normally that the bypass is already kept.
So it's very important that you have a good system integrator,
Okay.
a good MEP designer, and overall a good lighting designer who can actually design.
Good lighting company also.
Yeah. So that's there.
Yeah, good. Ranit, I wanted to touch upon this aspect. As architects, we keep designing a lot of projects where we do integrate lighting, and we start from the inception and it goes up to the execution side of it. So do you see any common mistakes that we do in our journey from design inception to execution? This question is also to Sandip. If you guys can put in throw some light into the lights.
I think the biggest mistake is not considering lighting design as important enough as interior designing or landscape designing or space designing or something like that. That is something that we need to understand. But if we have to list some common mistakes, then I would say again, before you listing down, another point that I want to mention, that as you rightly said, that from the very beginning you have to think that you need to design the light. It's not like that you design everything, MEP, electrical, space, interior, landscape, and then one fine day you realize that in the ceiling only I have put some lights. I need to ask Tejas to design the light for me.
First thing architects need to understand, that lighting design does not mean just doing up the reflected ceiling plan.
Absolutely so.
That's
No,
a-
but-
so I personally feel that architects need to first visualize lighting three-dimensionally. Most people do it in 2 dimensions. It's restricted to the plan sheet. This is my first observation, because I used to do the same 10 years back. It has been a learning. Has been a
Ranit,
learning.
just small question to you, because correctly you pointed out, but what about those projects where you have an architect who designs the core initial part of the building and somebody else comes in to do the interior designing? Now, even if the main architect who is designing the core part, designing of the office and thinking about the lighting, the everything goes haywire, the other person coming in. And majority of the projects are happening in the similar fashion.
I think what Subhro is trying to say is this has more to do with the natural lighting which maybe the principal architect would have thought while doing up the design for the base building. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Not exactly, because the point what Ranit raised is that it's not something that everything is done and then you start thinking of the lighting. It has to be holistically thought at the very beginning along with other designs. But in certain kind of projects, in majority of the projects, it has happened that in my experience, that somebody has done the core part, and then in a whole building, there are 3 interior designers, and everybody has their own thought process. So that, as an MEP designer, we still there are points where we can adjust. होता है कि यार डक्ट यहाँ से हटा दो, यहाँ पे लाइट लगाना है, यहाँ पे there will be no ceiling at all. Maybe Armstrong ceiling is coming in. So we have to play with that. But what happens to the thought process of the main architect who has given a thought of designing the building on the core part, while the core is getting done, he or she is definitely having a thought process how the interior is going to look. So over there, these problems are bound to arise. Where you upon.
My answer would be, look, what we believe as our practice, what we believe is design is universal, right? You can't divide design into architecture, MEP, electrical, interior design, graphic design, lighting design, product design, or something like that. It's or landscape design. It's our inability to design everything together. That's why probably we divide it into different products or different segments. So you are experienced in that particular vertical, you are experienced in that particular vertical, or something like that. But no way these processes are I would say linear. These processes are always collaborative, right? Even if you are specialized in an architecture and not in interior, and you don't want to design that interior space, or probably you are specialized into interior design, not want to design MEP or probably lighting design, all other aspects and every aspect should be designed and collaborated together, and only that project should be executed, right? And if practically, if it's not possible, suppose I'm designing a multi-storied office building, right? And that be 30-storied building, and after say making this building, someone will come like Shondipda for a 1 lakh square feet of space where he will design the office space interior, right? I think there should be some kind of checks and balance. What shouldn't be changed, and what is the liberty of the interior designer of the particular area where it can be
I
changed.
think what Ranit is saying is correct. See, what Subhro is saying is, in a commercial building where there are multiple occupiers,
right,
you can't control it.
True.
Subhro, you can't control it. But then, what Ranit is saying, if the designer...
What Ranit said is the ideal thing.
Yeah. So, what Ranit is saying is that if the designers, the parameters of design, if they are followed, then somewhere you wouldn't really find so much of a startling change or something which is going to be shockingly different. The only thing is now, obviously, you can't control everything, but what he's trying to say is that stick to the basics of design. If they are met with, I think at the end of the day, multiple occupiers is the norm of the day. You can't help. The builder is going to give you a base building wherein it's going to be kind of everything has to be done on the inside. So you can't actually control this entirely.
Certainly, you can't say that I want to use one extra high wall unit in my cabin and the outdoor unit will come in the facade.
That is a different thing.
It's not like that. So, but probably the
maybe
inside
a certain
partition,
battery limit should be set. A certain battery limit should be set, that these are the things you will be able to change.
True.
And these are the things you won't be.
Absolutely.
So
And I think there should be a strict guideline to that only, and then only, and it's sometimes it's better also. It's not like that even one designer is designing everything. That sometimes it's not going to a extent level. but if a different collaborator combine together with a common thought process and wavelength, then only the project becomes better or something like that. And yeah, those are the mistakes. But if you ask me, then probably what I believe is, except all those points, using intuition in lighting design is one mistake. That we shouldn't use only intuition. There should be some rules, regulations, science behind it. That is one point.
The basic science has never changed.
Everyone
At
is
least
saying
not
that
in the last
bright
20
light,
years.
bright light. What bright light? What lux level? For what purpose? What function? That is important. And again, I think we normally forget about the color temperature. Everyone is like discussing about whether it should be 4K or 3K or something like that. I think everything is true. Like it's not like that 4K is right or 3K is right or 6.5K is not right. I think for every function, every like usage, you have different, every mood, you have different kind of color temperature that is needed. And that's why probably a tunable color is probably the best thing, so that you can change according to your mood, according to your requirement and all other things. And yeah, these are the things I think we also probably using inefficient fixture or probably outdated fixture is a crime. I think that's a mistake that we do. And we try to forget the aspect of maintenance while selecting fixture. That is also one big mistake that we need to understand, because we design something, we execute something, but after 6 months that there's a 10 lights, 8 lights are not working or 2 lights are not working. That is not going to happen. So maintenance is one aspect that we need to be absolutely sure about. Yeah, I think these are the points.
Micro level, I have all throughout my journey, every site, not even a single site till date which I have done interiors for, I have made a common mistake all throughout. That was the height of the light fixture vis-a-vis the false ceiling. Everywhere, right from day one, we have tried to push the false ceiling to the largest extent, and then we got stuck with the light fixture height. So this is a common deep recessed light. Somewhere or the other we have made this mistake. Every project, not even a single project, I have not made this mistake. So for us, I am putting across this as a point that we should make sure that we know the height of the light fixtures very clearly, because today's world, we have always been seeing in all our projects that the basic requirement is that increase the height of the false ceiling as much as possible, reduce the base gap between the true ceiling and the false ceiling as much as possible. So everywhere there's a compromise of the light fixture, though the companies are trying their level best to come up with shorter height light fixtures, but then still, that's the...
I'm so glad that next time I work with you, you're not going to ask me to put the ceiling up and do the compromise.
No, as Manash, you were saying, probably one point I want to add to this list. Architects know how to hide the light fixture, but architects forget how to hide the drivers. So that's
another
point
common
that
mistake.
Needs to be listed down.
So lighting design is not just science or an art. It's the point where it's science. They meet together. It's science of illumination and art of design.
Of course. So yeah, this was part of my next question. So let's kind of we can give a piece of advice on lighting design wisdom. So if you can, we will start with Sandip. One line.
Particularly to the millennials who know so much, stick to the science, then the rest.
Like you want me to... Well, first I want to say something different. Like I remember 15 year back, any lighting design, when I have to talk, they go to Italy. The designer wahan ka hai. You have to go somewhere out. Today, Indian designer, Indian things become so good. I think it's kudos. We talk too much, what we have to improve. I think that is kudos to entire dignity. You know, वो अब कहीं बाहर जाने का जरूरत नहीं है. शोरूम मर्सिडीज का हो या शोरूम, the Indian designers are much talented than that. So kudos to them.
Stick to make in India.
Yeah, sure.
सर हमारे पास वो भी है ना, we have a Indian technology जुगाड़.
Correct. Agree.
Yeah, Ranit.
I think it's purely technical, but the results are purely subjective. So I don't know. Means you have to dive really deep to understand lighting design. Shortcut.
Yeah, yeah, no shortcut. So for me, it's stick to absolutely what is desired as far as lighting is concerned, and I'm practicing now. I'm trying to, for the last couple of projects, what we have tried to do in our studio is that we have earlier in our practice, we used to design the RCP, like somebody was saying that it's not about RCP. We used to design the RCP where every light was aligned to something or the other. For the last couple of projects, we have moved out of that completely. So my advice to all in the fraternity is that I've learned a lot from this exercise. Now what we are doing is we are placing lights without any alignment. We are placing lights where it is required, exactly the subject that it needs to pick up or do what. If it is a foundation light, it can be placed right at the center, need not be aligned with any fan, need not be aligned with any air conditioning, but that's our belief. Probably as a studio, we have started this exercise. Probably in a couple of projects, we'll understand whether we are in the right path or not, but that's my take on lighting
absolutely
design.
in right path. That's how lighting design should be done.
Okay. Subhro?
I have just one liner that what I personally feel, it should be a proper balance between the natural and the artificial light. Usage of artificial wherever it is required, use as much as natural light as possible, because as an MEP consultant, in terms of my energy consumption, the sustainability approaches, usage of natural light is far better than that of the heat guzzling elements, because the moment I put more artificial lights, more heat is generated. So there should be a proper balance between the two.
Cool.
So good lighting doesn't just happen; it's designed.
Absolutely.
If you allow me, I just want to add one basic philosophy that somehow I have read somewhere. In lighting design, if the light is not decorative or if it's not used as a sculpture, then hide is as much as possible. You don't need to show it. So that's one philosophy. I think if you can follow this, half of your job will be done.
Great. Thank you so much.
I end up with one lines. I love to write and think for all of us. बनाते रहो गुलिस्तां अपने जिहान से, काफले तो आएंगे और चले जाएंगे. So you design with science, with aesthetic, with safety. What mass is asking, least bother.
So embrace your shadows. They define your light. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.